Yo Mango here, I'm making a video on my first impressions from the spoilers from the new set, Rise of Bahamut. So there's a new mechanic called Enhance. Whenever a card with Enhance is played, if your current play points are equal or greater than the Enhance cost written in the card, you can now play the card for its Enhance cost and gain an additional effect. So first card I'm going to show, we'll show off this mechanic. Breath of the Salamander, costs 2 play points and is a Dragoncraft card. So just playing it by itself, 2 play points for 3 damage is pretty good. But if you look at its enhanced cost, so if you have 6 play points or more, you can cast Breath of Salamander for 6 and deal 2 damage to all enemy followers after you do the 3 damage to your target. Let's say the opponent plays Otohime. If you target Otohime with the 3 damage, it'll do the 3 damage to her, and then wipe the whole board, her and her followers. I think this card's pretty good in Constructed. Probably won't see play in Face Dragon as much. And Face Dragon's mainly being played in Dragon at the moment. It maybe see play in Ramp Dragon though. It's hard to say, but I think this card's really good by itself. It's probably gonna see play. In Take 2, the card's really good. Definitely a pickup in Arena. Next card is a legendary card for Forestcraft, White Wolf of Eldwood. So just looking at stats, it's a 4/4 for 8 play points. It has Rush, so it can attack an enemy follower the turn it's played. Its stats are pretty bad for an 8-drop. Like 4/4, you're usually looking at a 4-drop. So stats pretty poor. When White Wolf of Eldwood dies, randomly put one of the highest Forestcraft cards, excluding White Wolf of Eldwood, from your deck into your hand at the start of your next turn. Change its cost to 0. So the fact that this thing has to die is kind of a downside, but since it has Rush, you can immediately kill it off to get the draw on the next turn. So it's also take note that the card is a Forestcraft card, so you can't get a big neutral like Satan or the new Bahamut card, which I'll probably show off in another video. I don't want to make this video too long. So in Forestcraft we have Rose Queen. Rose Queen costs 8, 5/5. When you play her, all of your fairies become thorns. Rose Queen combo is not that played. It's probably one of the weaker Forestcraft decks. It's like playing White Wolf in a Rose Queen deck is like playing additional Rose Queens because it costs 8 as well. And all you're doing is playing it to attempt to draw one of your Rose Queens. But if you play your White Wolf and it doesn't die, you're not going to get your Rose Queen right away. Like let's say they have just played a Otohime. Let's say their board is just Otohime. You can't play White Wolf and kill off White Wolf to get Rose Queen on your next turn. But we have the card Silverbolt. Silverbolt right now doesn't see any play in Constructed, just because it's too slow. Silverbolt deals X damage to an enemy, where X is the number of cards in your hand. It also draws you a card. So it replaces itself. So say if you have 8 cards in hand and you play Silverbolt, you'll draw a card, and it'll do 8 damage to something. So if you manage to kill off your White Wolf right away, your next turn you will draw a 0 mana Silverbolt. So if you have 2 Silverbolts in hand, I mean if you already have 1 Silverbolt in hand, and you draw this free Silverbolt, you can do a total of 18 damage if you had a full hand of 9 cards. Which is kind of ridiculous. That's like, you pretty much just win the game on the spot, because you're doing 2 damage before turn 9, you've probably done at least 2 damage. So that's the only way I can see White Wolf being played in Constructed. In Take 2, you'd have to get some really powerful Forestcraft to make up for the tempo loss of playing a 8 mana 4/4. It's hard to say. Plus it's a legendary, so you have to like probably get another really good gold card or another legendary. Maybe you can manage to get Silverbolt and White Wolf, or like a Rose Queen and White Wolf in Arena. That'd be pretty good, but generally it's just kind of a huge tempo loss just playing a 4/4 for 8. Even though it has Rush, the Rush is not going to kill anything. Alright, next card. Mastema. Mastema is a 5 play point 6/6 for Bloodcraft. So looking at stats right away, its stats are amazing for its cost. You can compare it to Lightning Behemoth or Beast Dominator. But Lightning Behemoth and Beast Dominator both have downsides to them. Mastema's downside is that she can only attack followers with a ward, but that's not really a downside for aggro blood, because aggro Bloodcraft is just looking to hit the enemy in the face anyways. The fact that it doesn't do anything immediately, like it doesn't have rush base, or it doesn't have like some kind of enter the battlefield effect or a fanfare effect, make it a little slow. I think you play this card, your opponent's immediately going to have to remove it. And since it has Bane, if they play something bigger, your opponent plays a Sage Commander or Elf Knight Cynthia. If they evolve, they'll have 8 defense. So they normally would kill something with that's a 6/6. But since Mastema has Bane, she'll also take them with her, which is really good. The fact that she also has Bane and can attack ward creatures means that she can remove big wards like Goblin Mount or Saber. Speaking of Saber, the fact that the Bane goes through the protection that Saber can get makes it pretty good against Saber. Stat-wise, Mastema already kills Saber. If Saber evolves, she'll have 8 defense. If Mastema evolves, she'll have 8 attack, so she already kills Saber that way. That's pretty good. Usually, if you have to kill Saber as blood, you probably have to trade at least maybe 3 or 4 creatures into Saber to kill her. If Saber doesn't have protection. If Saber has the resistance to spells. So if, let's say, you play a turn 5 Mastema, and you have maybe like 2 bats on board somehow, they play their turn 5 Saber after you. They're going second. The Mastema already contests her, and Saber can't deal with Mastema, because if Saber has to evolve to kill Mastema, Saber dies. So I think Mastema kind of matches up well with Saber. And usually, mid-range Swordcraft doesn't run Dance of Death to remove Mastema, so they rely on just their really good creatures to do battle instead of spells to remove. In Arena, or Take 2, Mastema is really good. A 6/6 for 5 is way above the curve, and her downside's not that bad, because if you play her in Arena, the opponent's going to immediately have to remove her, or they're going to die super quick. And usually blood cards that are big have some kind of requirement to be big from Vengeance, or have some kind of downside if you're not Vengeance. And in Arena, you're not always going to be able to access Vengeance, and sometimes the opponent will play around Vengeance by not attacking you below 10 health. Next card, Pact with Nethergod. So it's a 3-cost spell that destroys enemy follower with 4 or less defense. You can compare this card to Shadowcraft's other 3-cost removal, like Soul Hunt, which deals 3 damage to enemy follower and gains 1 shadow, and Deathbrand, which removes an enemy follower with 3 or less defense, or you can spend 4 Necromancy to destroy enemy follower with 4 or greater defense. So just looking at it, it's better than Deathbrand and Soul Hunt because it does 1 more damage. Let's say it's damage, because it really kind of is damage, because it has to be 4 or less defense. It's kind of dealing 4 damage to a thing. It's better than Soul Hunt. It's better than Deathbrand if you're not spending Necromancy on Deathbrand. But it also has an Enhance ability. So if you have 7 or more play points, you can cast this card for 7. When you do that, you also summon a Pluto, and you give it +X/+X, where X equals the destroyed follower's attack and defense. Let's say you use Pact with Nethergod for enhanced cost of 7 on a creature that is 4/4. It will destroy the 4/4 creature and then give you a Pluto that is a 5/5, because Pluto's base stats are 1/1. 7 is a lot for removal of something that costs 4. Usually you want to remove something that costs like 6, because that's like Tia's bodyguard, Crystalia Eve. She's a 6/6, or like an Ancient Elf. Ancient Elf that's evolved, or Ancient Elf that has like bonus stats, it's probably going to be greater than 4, especially when you're around turn 7 when you want to remove something. In Arena, this card could be okay. Best case scenario is they played, let's say, like an 8/8, and this is general idea. Like they play an 8/8, they evolve their 8/8 and attack one of your 4 attack creatures. It will have taken 4 damage and it'll have 4 defense. Then you finish it off with a Pact Nethergod, and then your Pluto will be a 9/5. I'm assuming it uses the stat set the creature currently has. Next card, Call of Cocytus. It is a 5-cost neutral card that destroys enemy follower. So this is like the base 5-cost, just unconditional destroy an enemy follower, like Execution or Dance of Death. Hand's cost of 8. You put a Servant of Darkness into your hand. Servant of Darkness we've seen from Prince of Darkness. It's a 5-cost 13/13, which is ridiculous. But the fact that you can only get this from some kind of extra effect makes him a little bit worse. It's actually probably one of the worst things you could get from the Prince of Darkness deck. The other stuff is like a 8/8 with Storm, or a card that just brings your opponent's life to 1. So just looking at it as a 8-cost destroy enemy follower, draw a 13/13 for 5. The card's probably too slow for Constructed. In Constructed, if you play an 8-cost ability, you probably want to win the game next turn with whatever you've set up. So you 8-cost is your Seraph. It's usually where you want to kill with Dimensional Shift as Runecraft around turn 8. Turn 8 is usually the sweet spot for more of a controlling deck to win. That being said, you probably don't want to spend turn 8 just killing one creature, just so you can play a 13/13 for 5 on the next turn. Servant of Darkness gets removed by Dance of Death or board clear like Samus Decree. In Arena, you probably want to pick this card up. Removal's pretty good in Arena. Usually they play some big janky creature like a Mammoth. Usually want to cast like a card like Execution on it to kill it. Call of Cocytus is like Execution with a bonus effect when you play for its enhanced cost of 8. And in Arena, there's not too much removal, so the Servant of Darkness could win you the game maybe on the next turn. Plus it's neutral. Most neutral cards are pretty bad, and this is just like above average maybe, so you probably want to pick this over other neutral cards. Next card, Gelt Vice Captain, is a 2/2 for 2, so it's pretty average for a 2-drop. Fanfare, gain +1 attack and ward if you have a commander in play. You're not usually going to play a commander on turn 1, because I don't think there isn't even a commander at cost 1. So you're not going to get this effect on turn 2. At best, you probably get this effect on turn 4 or 5. Compared to the other 2-drops that Sword gets, he's probably worse. Because Veteran Lancer already gets ward immediately, she's better one playing on turn 2. And in late game, you can play Veteran Lancer before you play a Sage Commander to give her the stats. So it becomes a 3/3 ward after you play a Sage Commander. Gelt, you can't do that. If you play Gelt and then play Sage Commander, he doesn't see the commander in play, so he's only a 3/3 without word. So Constructed, he's probably not going to be picked over other 2-drops. In Take 2, you probably pick him because he's a 2-cost 2/2. You usually want to pick those up. Those are really good on curve. Next card, Master Sage. Master Sage is 3-cost 1/2 for Havencraft. So looking at stats, terrible. Just terrible. The 1/2 is what you want to see on like a 1-drop. You usually want to see a 3/2 or a 2/3 for a 3-drop. But it has an effect. At the end of your turn, subtract 1 from the cooldown of all allied amulets. So let's look at the amulets that are usually played right now in Havencraft. The Opinion Prayer, Sacred Plea, Beast Call, Aria, and Divine Birdsong. These are usually the countdown amulets that you will see early game for Havencraft usually. You probably don't want to cast Master Sage after Opinion Prayer or a Birdsong, because Master Sage activates at the end of your turn. Your Falcons created by Prayer and Birdsong are going to appear at the end of your turn if it counts down to 0, meaning that your opponent has time to act and kill your birds. Usually you want to play cards on Opinion Prayer and Birdsong that activate them right away, so you get acts as a storm. Beast Cult Aria, since it has a 3 cooldown, you can play like Master Sage right after it, and then you get another extra turn off of it. But again, Master Sage is better if you have more than one thing. Best case scenario for Master Sage is if you have like turn 2 Sacred Pleas, and then you play Master Sage on 3, and both your Sacred Pleas will get count down by 1. I can see her being played like that. You can also play her in Seraph as another combo piece to get the Seraph activated. I don't think there's already enough combo pieces to activate Seraph. I don't know if you want to play more, especially something with weak stats like this. You can compare Master Sage to her big sister, Sister Initiate, who is a 3 mana, 3/2. When you play her, you can reduce the countdown of one of your emblems by 1 immediately. Sister Initiate's much better with the Falcons because you play her, and then the Falcons will come out immediately, and you can access their storm to hit your opponent in the face usually. Let's say Sister Initiate's usually better. Like I said before, though, Master Sage is better when you have like 2 Sacred Pleas on turn 2. Sister Initiate only will affect one of your Sacred Pleas. So that's like best case scenario for Master Sage, I think. Early game. Late game, you can use her for Seraph combos, I guess. You probably don't want to play this in Take 2. Her stats are pretty poor, and yeah, that's about it. I don't know. Maybe if you just get all of the amulet countdowns in your draft. All right, last card I'm going to look at for today is Craig, Wizard of Mysteria. Craig is a 2/2 for 2 for Runecraft. He has Fanfare, Spell Boost a follower in your hand 2 times. So let's take a look at what followers we currently can spell boost. So we have Runeblade Summoner, 4 cost 1/1. Every spell boost she gets will increase her attack and defense by 1. So if you play Craig on her, she becomes a 3/3 if you haven't played any other spells. So maybe you can build a really big Blade Summoner with multiple Craigs. You might see that be played. That could be a pretty fun build. Then we have Lightning Shooter, who deals damage to an enemy follower based on her spell boost. So if you play Craig on her early, she'll do more damage when she comes out. Probably a little slow in Constructed, because at 5 you can just play like Dance of Death and just have unconditional removal instead of having to build up the damage on her. But the fact that she's also a body, she could be better than a removal spell like Dance of Death. Hard to say. If you're already playing Craig, maybe you want to play Lightning Shooter as well in your deck. Next we have Mythogolem. He does damage based on his spell boost to all enemy followers. If you build the spell boost on Mythogolem a little bit, you can clear like a bigger board, maybe like a board that Sword will usually have at near the end of the game. Though at 9 costs, he's probably too slow because you don't ramp like Dragoncraft does. Then we have Flame Destroyer. Everyone knows Flame Destroyer. He's a key combo piece in Dimensional Shift Rune. The fact that he usually costs 0 at the same time that you want to play Dimensional Shift already, you probably don't need to put Craig in the deck to affect Flame Destroyer. Though you might want to put Flame Destroyer in a deck that you're running Craig and Runeblade Summoner already, just so you have another target for Craig to hit. And playing like a really cheap Flame Destroyer is a big tempo move, even if you don't have Dimensional Shift. The fact that he doesn't do anything though immediately, he gets removed by cards like Dance of Death. But if you play like a 0 mana Flame Destroyer and something else, they have to spend 5 mana to destroy your Flame Destroyer, you're probably ahead. So you're probably in a good situation if you can play like a really big Rune Summoner and a Flame Destroyer in the same turn. You don't have a way to deal with both the Flame Destroyer and the Summoner. It could be alright. It might be a deck. We'll see if the Runecraft gets other cards that are followers and have spell boost effects. That's it for this video. I know there's more cards I can review that have been spoiled. I just want to make this video a little shorter and chop up the spoiler reviews into separate videos. The next video is probably coming soon since there's already enough spoiler cards to talk about. Alright, thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed already, subscribe to the channel so you can see the next video. If you want to watch me on Twitch, there's probably a link in the description. And you can follow me on Twitter, whatever. Alright, thanks for watching.